Okay, guys, this is Coach Og. You're probably wondering, how did he manage to pull this off? Is he some kind of an internet wizard? And the answer is he absolutely is. So I'm trying to give you all a couple of pointers on positioning for the upcoming game. We're playing a really good team. And I want us to try a couple of things so that we can see if they work or not, and hopefully put our best foot forward for this game. So what you see on the board here is us in gray, and our positions are labeled, as you can see, and the other team is in red. So I'll start from the back with the goalie and defenders. So one thing that I want our defenders to focus on is to be closer to each other than typical. So you see number 4 and number 3, they should be this far away from each other when defending. A lot of time in the last game, we were a little bit stretched out like this, and therefore, let's say their striker is here and their winger is here. Their winger could take the ball, pass it to their striker, and their striker could go directly at us, at our goalie, before us recovering. So the way to control that would be if we are sitting close to each other when defending. When that ball comes to the striker, he cannot go through the middle because we'll block him. So then that striker is forced to go to the right or to the side. And our goal in that case is to stay in a way, be in between him and the goal. So we want to protect the middle. We want to protect this area. And I am more than happy for us to let them go here or let them go here, because this is a very hard angle to shoot from. And I think as long as we protect this area, we will be okay. So that covers the explanation of how we should try defending. Now, when we have the ball and we're attacking, and let's start with our goalie. When our goalie has the ball, the defenders, if you give me one moment, the defenders should then go wide, right? So that the goalie can spread the ball here, or the goalie can spread the ball here, and then we can move that ball along. That's sort of the only time that we should be as spread out as we are here. When we have an option, all right, so let's say when we have an option to pass, we pass. When we don't have an option, let's say we're in a situation like this, where the goalie passes the ball to the defender here. This defender is trying to find where to pass, but the midfielder is blocked, and the winger is blocked as well. Feel free to turn around and give it back to the goalie, because then the goalie, now that Team Red has overloaded this side to protect our right wing and midfielder, or to cover them, we can spread the ball from defender 3 back to the goalie, back over here, back up here, and over here pretty quickly, and expose them where they don't have enough players. So just a couple of things for you all to consider. If we are attacking, so let's say our strikers here, our midfielders are here, our wingers are really, all the way up here, right? So let's say we're attacking and their striker is here. And let's say the ball is over here with the midfielder. What we typically do is we push up with one defender up and the other one sort of staying back. A lot of times what happens is that we're not far enough up, or there's a really big disconnect between the player who stays back and the player who goes up on defense. And what happens in that case is, if they get the ball, let's say their number 4 gets the ball, he can pass it to 7, and that number 7 has all of the space to run. So a thing to consider when playing defense is to think of that invisible string an invisible elastic band that forces us to, not bunch up next to each other. We don't want this, but to be close enough to each other where we could support each other, and also we can suffocate this area. We can close down the space so they cannot move as much. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, if we're all the way up here, what happens if, let's say, player 2 kicks the ball all the way over here, and then there's all of this area open? Well, the solution for that is for our goalkeeper not to stay on a line, but to actually push up here or up here somewhere and to provide support. So let's say number 7 is running, number 2 has gotten the ball, our defense is up, number 2 kicks the ball down this way. Well, guess what? The goalie should come, challenge 7, and strongly clear the ball, not the goalie, clear the ball all the way out here or kick it up here or whatever he wants to do. So part of the defense that's really important is the goalie play. We use the goalie as the sweeper, as the last man, and the goalie should feel comfortable when the ball is up here operating in this range over here. And that gives us a little more freedom to push up, a little more freedom to close out the space, because when these guys see that we have players everywhere, it is really going to be hard for them to make the plays out of their own half, right? So we don't want to give them this. We don't want to give them this. We would much rather push up and force them to kick the ball over here, in which case our goalie can clear. All right. So that covers the defensive plays, and hopefully that was very clear. And if any of you have questions, I am happy to talk to you and to answer these going forward. The next one we'll cover is the midfielder. And the idea is that all of you will play all these positions at some point during our season. So all of this is relevant for honestly everybody. When our goalie has the ball, so just this midfielder is the central defensive midfielder. That's the sort of role we want to play. This midfielder, number 6, is a ball distributor. That's the primary purpose of the role. The secondary purpose of the role is to be first to support defense, but as a central defensive midfielder, it's also to take the passes and distribute the passes, right? So let's assume we have a kickoff, right? And we have our defenders on the side. Midfielder number 6 should come close to the goalie and ask for the ball. Two things can happen when this happens. Their players will pressure, the midfielder, in which case the midfielder has several options. The midfielder can pass the ball back to the defender. If they're pressing on this side, a better choice would be for the midfielder to send it here and to send it over here. Again, as they press, they leave all of the space over here, right? So that's what we should exploit. So they press the midfielder, the midfielder sends the ball to the defender or turns to the left wing, and off we're going, and we're looking pretty good. Even if they don't press the midfielder, let's say in this situation, even if the goalie doesn't pass to the midfielder should still come back, because what happens is once this midfielder goes from here to here, he will immediately draw the striker down, right? Because everybody wants to press, and our goalie can then pass the ball to the defender, pass the ball to the left wing, and again, look at all of that open space, right? Once we pull player 7 down, we open up area. So even though in this case the midfielder did not get the ball, by his actions he's drawn away multiple players so that we can have more of an open field up top. The other important thing for the midfielder is to always be behind the ball. So here's what I mean by that. If this is the line for the ball, the midfielder should be behind it. Oops. So if our winger is up here, strikers are up here, our midfielder should be again here to receive the pass, and then to distribute the pass here, to send the pass into a striker, to send it back to a player. If these guys come up, to send it back to the player. Even and I've seen a couple of you do this, and it's magnificent when it happens, with the left wing cutting inside to pass the ball in past these two players, but being behind the ball. So in a situation where that's not the case, right? I'll explain it here. So if the midfielder, if the winger is here and the midfielder is over here and the midfielder gets the pass, well, guess what? You got to receive the pass. You got number 3 on you. You got number 4 on you. It's really hard to then try to maneuver anything. But if you are behind the ball and you receive that pass, you are looking directly towards the goal. You are facing your opponents rather than sort of being on the side of them. And you can distribute the ball. It could go back. It could go over here. It could go over there. Any given direction. So your job is to be the thread that connects all the team. When we talk about the elastic and being close to each other, the midfield position is the one that kind of comes, supports. You hear Coach Manuel saying, be an option. That's exactly what we're talking about here. You come here and you support. You either run with the ball, you send the ball back, and then you come over here and you support. So you are really here to support, and then you are behind the ball. So let's say they take it, they're attacking. Well, guess what? You still are behind the ball, so you have time to recover and to help your defenders set up for the counterattack. So that's a major thing that I just want to make sure the midfielders understand. I'm going to reshuffle this again and talk about the wingers. And I'll just use an example of a left winger, but same applies for the right winger. So the left winger and the right winger should we know which areas you need to cover, but your coverage pattern should really look something like this. Meaning, when you drop to defend, right? You got this defender here. You don't want to defend over here because they will cut in the middle. What you want to do is you want to defend this push to the side. You want to make sure that number 5 here goes all the way down here, and then it's 2 of you versus him, and you will absolutely be in advantage there. Same thing as you're running on offense. As you're running here, you're keeping your distance, but as you come closer, you do want to cut in either to get that pass, between the 2 players, or to just put yourself in a position to score. The wingers, you should be running the most out of anybody on the field, because you need to be up here as a de facto second striker, and then you need to be back here as a de facto second or third or fourth defender. And at the same time, you need to be here so that the midfielder, when he gets the ball over here, he can distribute it to you, right? So you follow the flow of the game, but you are playing a little more of an attacking role than a midfielder is. But because of that support that's needed in the back, you're really doing a lot of this, right? Okay, so I think that explains the left wing. And I'll briefly touch on the striker. The striker position, look, you should be the furthest up on the field in majority of the cases. Considering this is a little bit of a smaller field, much like the midfielder, part of your job is to create space. But as the midfielder comes down to pull players, you actually want to move up here so you can draw their players back with you, and that opens the space for the midfielder and the left winger to come in. So, the movement off the ball is really important, and just because you're not receiving the ball does not mean that you're not contributing, right? So if you're up here and you see that there's a little bit of a play developing here on the side, let's say, couple of things you can do. First, you can come and support, so you can receive the ball with your back towards the goal and then distribute or turn or run. Or you can push back here, draw their defenders back. Oops. because Coach Og did not pay for this app. And by pulling yourself into them here, they're forced to kind of pull back a little bit maybe, and that opens the opportunity for our winger to come in and for our midfielder to defend that. To provide support there. So again, as a striker, it's important that you play both with your back towards the goal, but also moving and opening space so that other players can either run in or putting yourself in a position where you can get the ball, turn around, and shoot. Hopefully that makes a sense to all of you. I know this is a fairly long video, and I apologize, but this seems like a more easier way to communicate some of the thinking that Coach Manuel and I have had than right before the game when it's really loud and distracting. As always, you guys are great passers. You guys are great players. You have a lot of skills. Feel free to use all of those skills. Passing, playing aggressively, dribbling, shooting. The goal here is for you to develop all of those things. So it's not that we're just doing passing. It's not that we're just doing dribbling. We want to develop a full arsenal of skills so that anytime we have the ball, the other team does not know what's going to happen. We are playing a good team. We're likely playing a fourth grade team again, so these kids will be big. But with some of these ideas in place, I do think that we can challenge, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, see you all Saturday.